Hello everyone, Ben here with a solo game of Spirits the Rice Paddy. The solo game is set up fairly similarly to a two-player game. You have 15 water tokens discarded, so your stack of water tokens is appropriate for a two-player game. And when you use rain cards, you will only accumulate water depending on the two-player amount. So there's that. Specifically pertaining to a solo game though, you have only 5 achievement tiles. I believe it is 6 in a two-player game, so 1 less for a solo. And your AI opponent is only using the special solo board there, basically, in which it pretty much just accumulates water and not much else. However, your setup is basically the same as a normal game. You have a setup card with the layout of your board and any starting resources you're going to get. So we have 2 walls, an extra labourer and a livestock. And then we can put our starting hex basically however we want in this particular location, so we can have the walls and the gate however we like. The spirit card draft is slightly differently to a normal game, in that from the deck, at the start anyway, of the 1 to 20 cards, you will deal out 4 of them. You will choose one of those 4 cards and then you'll pass the remaining 3 across to the AI opponent. Then you'll deal out 3 cards, you will keep 1 and pass across 2, and then you'll deal out 2 cards, you will keep 1 and pass across 1. So you have basically the 3 cards that you chose to play throughout 3 rounds, and the AI has a deck of 6 cards, of which 3 will be revealed, so it's a bit of a random guess as to which 3 are going to come up, and possibly put a spanner in the works. And then we can play, excuse me, and then we can play the game as normal. So we are in round 1, and we basically go through the play sequence, and this is the same for the 6 rounds, and then round 7 is a bit of a change up, and we'll see how that works when we get to it. So for the first round, or the first part of round 1, we need to reveal a rain card. So we have, so for 2 players then we're going to get 4 rain. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, to be honest. And you follow whatever it says on the bottom of the card, so in this case we're going to add weeds everywhere. Great. That's what we'd like to see. So weeds, yeah, okay, fair enough. Then we're going to play a spirit card. So we get to choose out of our 3 whichever one we like. And it's basically down to which spirit power you'd like to start having accumulate throughout the game, and also where in the turn order you would like to be, because the numbers on the top left of the card basically indicate how likely it is you're going to be first or second in the case of an AI game. So I think, well, we don't have much use for magic water at the moment, so we can probably leave out that one. We've already got 1 livestock as part of our setup, so we could probably leave that one, which means if we go for the trained oxen, that has a 50-50 possibly chance of being first, which is probably useful considering we're using so little water at the moment. So sure, we'll do that. And the AI is going to... not so good. Okay, so the AI is going first because it has the lower number, and it is also going to start throwing out pests into our paddy fields. That's not good. Alright, fair enough. So we played spirit cards, now we claim the water, and as the AI goes first, because it has the lower number, all the water on the rain card goes into its reservoir, and then it will get pushed around as we go through the round. Now we can resolve spirit cards, which means basically you apply any abilities on them. So in our case, we can use oxen in the case of people for getting rid of weeds, which is quite handy as we have one weed already. And in the case of the AI card, it gets to add a pest to our Paddy. Like so. So we're accumulating a whole lot of stuff we don't want to see in our rice fields at the moment, which is how the game goes basically. So that's fine. Now we get to allocate labour. So we have a pool of 11 labourers, so we start with 10, we got one extra one as part of setup. So we have 11 labourers that we can allocate to the various actions. We have one livestock token, which can either be a duck or an oxen. And then we have two walls, also could be gates, but either way we get to place those out for free onto our board as well. Right. Well, I think we're going to have one guy definitely come and get rid of weeds. We're going to have probably the oxen becoming a duck to get rid of pests. Would be nice to use them as an oxen and then start moving out those rocks, but they can probably wait for at least another turn anyway. Growing is automatic, which is fine. I don't think we're going to have enough water to start planting. So really we want to put these guys towards building extra walls. Like so, and that just leaves one guy left over to do not a whole lot with, I think. So yeah, he'll just be wasted for the time being, which is fair enough. You may have an odd number of workers that you can't really use at any one time, so that's fine. So we've allocated labour, and as part of the excuse me, as part of the allocate labour step, we also reveal a solo card, which will then determine what the AI does with the various bits of water that it's going to be doing things with. So now we come on to resolve farm actions, and you go from top to bottom down your farm actions list and basically do the bits and pieces. So this is a bit of a misplay with the icons here, I believe. Further on down you have a water out and a water in step. This is not water out, water in. This is, you can do these particular actions whether there is water in or water out of the field. So we can build walls and we can remove rocks, whatever else is happening water-wise with our fields. So we've got two walls which we're going to plonk down probably like this, and then we've got three sets of three guys, which is enough to build three more walls. So we'll take three more from the supply, and we can put them, well, I think if we're going to have two magic water on a follow-up turn at some point, we might want to build a 2 magic water hex here. So if we do something like this maybe, and that extra wall can instead be a gate, and we'll do that. So we've got a 1 Paddy hex here, we've got a 2 Paddy or 2 hex Paddy here, and then we can probably move that into a 3 hex here, and then maybe a 4 later on, like so. Something along those lines anyway. These are not set in stone, you can move them around, so that's fine, we'll do that. So we've done build walls, we don't remove any rocks. Now we're going to do the water out step. So in turn order, as in AI first, it will do water out. So from its 1 hex Paddy, it's going to take out 1 water. Well, that's fine, it only has 1 to take out for the time being. And then it will flow down through the fields, also in turn order. So basically in a solo game, it's going first, and then the water from its fields will flow down to us, because we are coming afterwards. Any water that we take out will flow out of our fields and then go out to the sea, because we are last in turn order essentially. So we'll do a water out step, and then we could move this water out as part of our water out step, which I think is probably what we're going to have to do. Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. So we can move it out and we can just plonk it there for the time being. We could take it all the way out, but you can have partially filled up hexes, so that's fine, we'll do that for the time being. Which leaves this one like so. Then we're going to do these particular steps, which we can only do in a paddy where there is no water whatsoever. So this one essentially. So we're going to remove weeds, and the amount of, so normally when you do actions, the amount of people you have to allocate is clearly depicted on the board. So in a paddy per hex you need one guy to start planting more rice. You need 2 guys to harvest rice, you need 3 guys to build walls. The remove weed step is slightly different in that you take the overall size of the paddy, so in this case it is just a 1 hex paddy, and that is how many people you need to remove one particular weed. So if we had a weed, for example, in here, to remove this weed we would need 2 guys because it's a 2 hex paddy. I'm sure that will become a lot clearer later on when we get more weeds accumulating in these bigger paddies. But for the time being, in this 1 hex paddy, we just need 1 guy to remove this 1 weed. So that will do that. And then we've got ducks removing pests. So we've got 1 duck removing 1 pest, which is very handy. We're not harvesting. And then we do a water in step. So again in turn order, the AI is going to take all of the water from the reservoir and follow its water in step, which is at the moment 3. So 3 of the water will go into the paddy, and then the remaining water, whatever it may be that it's taken from its reservoir, will come out and go along to the next place. So in this case it is going to go to us. If it was last in turn order, it would just flow out to the sea. Then we can do a water in step, so we take all of the water in our reservoir. You can't, so in a water in step you can't save water in the reservoir, it has to go in and then go through. You can't take some of it and then store some for later on. So we have to take all of our water, and then we have to, well, definitely put some in here because we want that to grow, and then we can have the rest of it go through and end up there. Which, yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine for next turn, so we'll do that. We've done the water in step, so then growing happens automatically in a fully flooded paddy. So this planted rice will now flip over to be grown rice, which we'll have to harvest next turn, or it starts to rot. And if we had people allocated to plant in fully flooded paddies, we could do that, but we didn't put anyone there, so that's fine, we'll just leave that for the time being. And that is resolve farm actions. Then we come to claim achievements. We have not, so I'd be very surprised if we have any of the achievements at the moment. Nope, so we can skip that essentially. Then we come to market, and unfortunately as part of our setup we did not get any rice. Some of these setup cards give you some starting rice with which to buy stuff at the market. We didn't get any of that, so we cannot buy extra labourers or extra livestock, so we'll have to skip that, and then we can move on to round 2. And that is essentially the progression of the game. So we need another rain card. That's even less water, that's not good. But at least we're not going to hit with any weeds or anything, so that's fine. So 3 water. Spirit card, well, extra livestock might be a good idea at the moment. We've got water in here, so we're not really hurting too much from magic water. So I think, yeah, we'll do livestock for the time being, and then we can probably do magic water next turn and then start playing around with that. So sure. So that's our card. It is unlikely the AI is going to be going, nope, it's going even lower. So we need to organise some of these. Okay. So AI is still first because it has overall the lowest numbered cards, which is a bit of a shame. So claiming water, well, the AI is going to claim, oh, that should have been on the rain card. So the AI is going to claim all the water. Okie dokie. Resolve spirit cards. So as before, we are going to then now get one livestock. So it basically comes from our market, we don't have to pay anything for it, and it just goes into our available area. The AI again is going to start sticking out pests into our... that's annoying. Is there anything we can... I don't believe there's anything we can do about that, to be honest. That's going to mess up, when we come to harvest, that's going to mess up. Oh, no, actually we should be fine. We should be able to get a duck in there to eat that pest and then harvest. So yeah, that's not too bad. It's using up one of our ducks, but never mind. So that's resolution of spirit cards. Allocate labour. So basically we need to, well, definitely have a duck for removing pests. And I guess we could have one to fertilise. Ah, no, we can only fertilise when it's been planted. So no fertilising yet, unfortunately. So in that case then we'll definitely use one to remove rocks. We're going to need 2 guys to plant in this paddy here. And let's see, so you have to work through this just a tad. So water out, remove pests, harvest, water comes back in, so we could start growing there as well. So yes, I think if we save another guy, and then we'll do another growth in there, like so. Then we can spend 2 guys to harvest this field once the water's been out, which leaves us with 6 guys. Well, let's start plonking down some more walls then. So that seems to be a reasonable allocation of labour, so we'll do that. We need the card which tells us what the area is going to do, and then we can resolve farm actions. So we can build walls whether there's water in or not, so we'll do that. We get 2 walls worth with our 6 guys in total. And I think if we're going to make this into a possible 3 hex paddy, we're going to want something like this then, with the walls going like that. So sure, we'll do that. We've got some livestock removing some rocks, so this can come out, and that will then open up this very nicely for planting later on. Just put that to one side. We've got then the water out step. So first of all, the AI is going to do 2 water out. So 2 water from its paddy comes over to us, and then we want to be taking this water out to free up that for harvesting. So water comes out, no point trying to store it here because there's already water there that we're happy to leave there. We then can't put it here because there is no enclosed paddy, so it basically gets wasted. Even if there was an enclosed paddy, if there were still rocks in the paddy, it would still not be able to hold water, so it would just basically go straight out to the sea. So this water is then back into the general pile. Then we can remove weeds. We don't have any weeds to remove. We can remove pests. We are certainly going to remove pests, so that goes out. And then we could fertilise. We didn't have enough to fertilise with, and it's not a planted paddy, as opposed to an already grown one, so that's fine. Then we're going to harvest, so 2 guys harvesting this rice here. So we take the rice off, and that just goes back into the general supply. And if you look at your yielding chart on the main board here, it gives you the amount of hexes, and then if there are various things blighting your fields like weeds or pests, that will reduce the amount you get. If there is fertilizer in your fields, then you basically increase the amount of hexes you're going to yield from by 1. But essentially for a 1 hex yield, it's going to be 5. So we get our first rice of the game. And that goes there. The grey numbers are a bonus yield for the 7th round, so you can essentially ignore those for the time being and just focus on the black numbers. So that was our harvest. Then we come to water in. So again, the AI is going to get 6 water in, so it's going to take all the water and plonk it in, and we get nothing. Well, we do have some in our reservoir anyway, so we are going to put that water into there, and then this extra one we can't save, so it's just going all the way through and back out again. Then we can plant, so 1 guy per hex. All 3 hexes are going to get planted, which is looking good for next turn, I think. So that's fine. Right then, on to, oh no, achievements. So achievements, no, we do not have anything achieved. Nope, not yet anyway. So onto the market, we do have 5 rice, so we could actually buy 1 thing, either livestock or person. You can see at the bottom here that the more you buy, you're going to start paying more in taxes. So essentially we can buy 1 guy for 4 and pay no taxes, and that would be about it. I think that's probably worthwhile. We don't really have much to spend the rice on at the moment, apart from trying to accumulate it into points, so we may as well buy 1 guy and hopefully he can do more work for us. So we'll do that. And then we go on to round 3. So ring card is hopefully going to give us more water, not too much more. And we're going to get a bunch of pests. Oh. Right, that's a shame. So 2 in there, and 2 in there. AI does not have to deal with pests at all, so lucky for it. And spirit cards. We have 1 spirit card left, which we're going to use, so we'll just do that. And the AI has 1 extra spirit card, so it's still going to be first. And we can place it like that, because it is still only it's still only utilising this bottom one basically here for the ability. The rest of them do not pertain to abilities the AI can use. Most of the cards that the AI plays will essentially be ignored, apart from the odd 1 or 2 which will basically muck up your fields. So we've got our cards like so. Then we can claim the water. So AI is still going first for purposes of water, so it's going to claim all the water onto its reservoir there. We can resolve spirit cards, so we are going to get more livestock, which is going to be very handy for getting rid of all of these pests. We then can use the secret spring. I think it's probably going to be a good idea now to remove this 2 water and exchange it with this 2 magic water, because magic water, as the name implies, can basically be water or not water, depending on how you want to do it, at any time whatsoever. So that will be very useful in getting maximum use out of this particular field now, I think. The AI is going to start chucking even more pests at us. And let's see if I'm going to add one pest to a planted or grown paddy in each opponent's field. Well, I think we want to try and save this one as much as possible, so this particular paddy can get all the pests, and we'll probably call that a complete loss and just ignore it for the time being, I think. So we'll see. Right, on to allocating labour. So then we have, let's just move things over a tad. Well, we've got probably two ducks worth of removing pests there, and then one duck worth of fertilising in this particular field. We are not going to harvest, so all this stuff is going to be basically growing, and that's about it. We've got no weeds that we can remove, so that's fine. So these guys again are probably just going to be stacking up and building, so what I'm looking for, building walls. So if we do that, so we've got, well, 4 groups of 3, so that's 4 walls basically we can start building around, and that may be enough then to claim us this 4 hex paddy as an achievement at some point. And we're getting very close to having 4 livestock for this one as well, so that's pretty good. We're never going to get this achievement because we're going to have magic water or water in at some point throughout the game, I suspect. However, we might very well get this one. And possibly this one. So that's not too bad. That's 4 out of the 5 achievements. That's a reasonable accumulation of rice. So, labour allocated, we need a solo card to tell us what the AI is going to do, like so. Then we can resolve. So then, we can build 4 walls with all of our labourers there. / gates as well, depending on how we need them. So I think if we do something like this, maybe. And then this can be a gate, like so. So now we have 1, 2, 3 hex, and then 4 hexes eventually when we get all these rocks cleared out. So yeah, that seems pretty good. Essentially, the position of the gates doesn't matter too much. There's not an up and down, as it were, pertaining to the fields. It's simply whichever is closest to the reservoir. So even if we position the gates in such a way that you had kind of a linear progression across, it would still be whichever is closest to the reservoir rather than whichever is further up the field or down the field, as it were. So that's the way that you essentially look at the fields. We're not going to be removing any rocks. We are going to have water out, however. So water out is 4. So here is going to take out 4 of its water. That's going to be pretty handy for us, I suspect. Like so. Actually, if I thought about it somewhat, no, that's fine. I was going to say if I thought about it somewhat, we would have had extra guys planting when we got water eventually round to this field, but we wouldn't have been able to complete this 3 hex paddy without all the guys building fences and gates. So that's fine. That can wait until next turn then. We need to do a water out step. So we could have this water out and be doing something with these, but I think this is kind of a lost cause now. So we'll simply leave the water in to grow, so that'll be fine. Then we have this particular step. So we are going to remove 2 pests, and this magic water can just disappear for the purposes of this particular part. So we'll get rid of 2 with our ducks, and we will also fertilise with our ducks, like so. You only need 1 duck essentially to fertilise the entire field. It just does the 1 cube there, and that's that. Then we're going to do water in. So the AI is going to get, well, 7, but essentially all the water into its particular field there. And then we are going to get all of our water in, and I think it's all going to go through and start building up. Yep, start building up there for next round. And then this last one can just flow out to sea over there. Then we're going to grow, and the magic water can come back again, and therefore start growing these ready for harvesting next turn. And this one will grow as well. So that's looking pretty good. Okay. Labour is allocated, farm actions resolved. We can claim achievements. We do have 5 hexes in our farm which have water or magic water. So that one is achieved. So essentially the achievement goes out the game and you take the reward in terms of rice that was printed on the top right there. So we'll do that. Then we come to the market. Do we want to buy extra guys? So we now have 11 rice with which you can spend at the market. I think we're still fine on livestock. We have no pressing concerns for more of that at the moment. We might want an extra labourer. Yes, we may very well want an extra labourer if we're going to have to start planting ever-increasing amounts of rice and getting these fields built up pretty quickly. So we'll buy one more guy for a total of 4. Hopefully that's a worthwhile investment, and he can go there. So that's that done. And then we're on to the second spirit draft. So now we get to see how this plays out. We have the deck of 21 to 40 spirit cards. These have been shuffled up, so now we basically deal ourselves 4. And we have a look at them, and we see which one we want to keep and which one we want to go to the AI. The remaining 3 the AI did not play are essentially out the game now and just get put off to one side. So, let's see. Apologies for that. Right, so we were picking spirit cards. So we could, well, there's no point doing the worker thief because we don't have any opponents with workers, so we can skip that. Weeds can be removed from flooded paddies. Is that going to be useful? Not so sure about that one. I think easy harvest is probably a good idea because we don't have a huge workforce and it would be useful getting the most out of them if we can only have 1 guy harvesting rather than 2. So we might very well pick that one even if it's a higher spirit number. I suspect we're going to be going last throughout the entire game at this rate. And resolve all of your previous repeatable cards once more. Oh, that'll be the phone. Hopefully we'll just ignore that and it will go away. Well, we've only got the 1, which is the livestock blessing, and we're going to getting maximum livestock from that anyway. So I think we'll probably just leave that to do its business and not have to repeat it. So these 3 can go across to the AI. Don't you just hate cold callers? We only have the phone because we have to have it for the broadband, so I don't know why we ever get any calls on it whatsoever, but there we go. So we'll keep that one and put that to one side. Then we get to deal out 3 cards. That looks like a handy one. And we get to pick one of these. So paddies do not need water to plant. No, I think we're okay on managing our water at the moment. Self-motivated, take 3 achievement tiles. That would be incredibly useful, I suspect, for getting lots more rice. But looking at this one, this is, if we play it straight away, basically 30 points at the end of the game. Whereas this one, depending on the achievement tiles we get, may or may not be points. So I think we'll pass these 2 across to the AI, and we'll take the guaranteed 30 points, at least if we play it straight away anyway. And then the final 2, all planted and watered paddies immediately grow. That would be very useful, I think, for getting extra rice harvest. or we get an extra 5 per paddy harvested. Now, if we had a bunch of solo paddies, a bunch of single hex paddies, this would be also incredibly useful. However, the way it's set up at the moment, not so much. So probably give that one to the AI, and we'll keep fast growth. Yes, we could get, if we play our magic water paddy right, we could get this one basically going every turn. Is that how it works? Harvested. Yeah, I think we can probably get that one going every turn, so we'll keep that one. Okay, so that's the... but that means we're not going to have... We're going to have to play one of these first, so either we're going to miss out on 10 points worth with the wealth, or we're going to miss out on the paddy growing straight away. That's not so good. Well, no, I think it works out either way, so we'll go with that. So that's our 3. The AI has its 6, so now basically we shuffle these up. I'll do a very quick shuffle. So we shuffle the cards up, and then the AI is going to get to play 3 out throughout the game. We won't know, well, we'll have an idea of what the 3 might be, but we won't know exactly what it is, and especially what order they're going to come out in. So there are the 6 there, and we'll leave those for the time being. We need to create a bit more space, so we've got extra space for our cards. So we'll try that. Okay. So we are on to round 4. We need to reveal a rain card. Haha, one rain. Wonderful. Okie dokie. We need to play a spirit card. Well, I think we were going to go for fast growth. So we'll get that played straight away. Okie dokie. And then we need the AI to play card 26. So again, unfortunately, it has the lower card. So, oh, I did not think about how that was going to affect us. That is going to take away one of our workers. Well, it may or may not have come up, so never mind. It's done now. Alright, so the AI is going to go first. It's going to claim, well, the water that should be on the rain card. I keep putting it in the reservoir, but essentially, yep, it's going to go straight over to the reservoir. We are going to resolve spirit cards. So we are going to get an extra livestock. That's going to be useful for claiming an achievement at the end there. This is a one-time only card, so we can essentially ignore it now. We're not going to get 2 more magic water. Fast growth will come into play when we need to mess around with that paddy there. And the AI is going to take one of our workers back to the market for us. And also chuck out an extra pest, so we can just keep accumulating pests in this 1 hex paddy there, where they're going to continue to muck it up, but we're beyond the limit of pests anyway, so that's fine, it can keep doing that. Right. Now then, we need to resolve spirit cards, so we need to allocate labour. Well, if we're going to have people here growing, or planting I should say, we need to have 3 guys then. There. We've still got a paddy here to be harvested, so we need 4 guys, 2 per hex, to harvest this paddy, like so. We still have a bunch of ducks, but no real meaningful way of sorting them out. I suppose we could spend all 4 ducks and get rid of all 4 of these pests, but I think we want to start getting rid of these rocks for next round, when we're going to hopefully start building up this field. So we want all the rocks out of the way essentially. So we'll put 2 of them as livestock, as oxen, sorry, into removing rocks. Let's see then. How's this going to work out? If we have water out, all this water doesn't need to go out, it can stay where it is, ready for planting at the end there. So that's fine as it is. We can have water out of here, ready for harvesting. So we need another 2 guys, and we could harvest that one. Magic water can do whatever it likes, that's fine for harvesting. And then water in, we can faff around with that later on. So these 3 guys can then just go ahead and build an extra wall. Do we need to plant? We've got 3 guys planting here. No, we need 3 more guys, or 2 more guys, sorry, planting there. In fact, actually, it might be worth having 3 guys planting these 3 as well. So no more walls this turn. We might have to buy a lot more labourers then in order to start getting these walls out, I think. So we'll do all that, and hopefully that will all work out somewhat. Yes, okay, fine. We've got 2 extra ducks, so we may as well make them, well, at least 1 extra oxen, ready to take out that rock, which leaves us with 1 duck and nothing to fertilise, so there's no weeds to take out, so the oxen cannot be used as a person for removing weeds, so we'll just leave this one on its own, and that'll be that. AI has a solo card to play, so that'll be that one. And then we can resolve farm actions. So water in, water out, we're basically just, or I should say, regardless of water in or water out, we can remove rocks, so we'll do that. So our entire field is now rock free, fortunately. The AI is going to do a water out step in which it's going to take out 2 water. That does not look like enough water to sort out our fields whatsoever. We could do a partial water out in which we could take out this one, which we're going to need to do in order for it to harvest. But then this water is going to be wasted because there's nowhere else for it to go. This is already full. This one is not enclosed, so water cannot be accumulated there. So this will then just go out. Then we're going to not remove weeds, not going to bother with pests or fertilise, we're going to go into harvesting. So 2 guys, 2 guys and 2 guys are going to harvest these 3 fields. This one can be harvested because the water is successfully out. And it has 4 pests in the field. So basically, looking at the harvest yield chart, it is a 1 hex paddy with multiples of pests, not weeds, but pests is fine on its own. So it is going to get us 1 rice, which, yeah, well, you were never going to sell a bunch of rice infested with pests, were you? So that's that. And then all the pests get to be cleared out, so that is okay. This one, the magic water can just vanish for this particular step. And then we will harvest these 2. Plus it's been fertilised, so it essentially counts as a 3 hex paddy, and we're going to get 20 rice, so that's somewhat better. Then we come to the water in step, so the AI is going to have 5 water in, well, essentially all the water in. We are going to have 2 water in, so we are going to need 2 here, and then again 1 that flows through and does not get accumulated anywhere is just going to go straight out again. So that's fine. Nothing for it to grow, but we do get to plant, and we have 6 guys, so we can plant all of our 6 paddies. Like so. Now then. So, all planted and watered paddies immediately grow. So these are going to go straight away. This is a bit of a shame, because it means we're not going to get the benefit if we sent out our ducks to fertilise the fields, because they can only fertilise planted paddies, they cannot fertilise ones that have already grown. So we're going to miss out on that step. Well, I think overall it's probably worth it. I think, yeah, it's probably better getting a basically double the time to, or half the time to get them all sorted. So sure, we'll do that. It does mean... No, it does mean we can still safely remove pests and weeds if necessary if they start accumulating before we get a chance to harvest. That's fine. So yeah, okay, we'll do that. So we'll do that. And that is fine. So claim achievements. We do have 4+ livestock, so we can claim this achievement. If you have achieved more than one achievement by the time it comes to claim achievements, you can only do one at a time anyway. So we will grab that one for an extra 10 rice. And now the market. Now we know we're going to lose one guy back to our market as per the AI spirit card, so we definitely want to try and pick up one, and I suspect more than one, bearing in mind that we're going to start needing to build out substantially more walls. Yes, I think so. If we save 6 guys for harvesting, we don't need to do too much else, I believe. So 3 guys for building walls. So we're going to have walls. Actually, this might be a bit of a pipe dream, I'm afraid. We might have not enough turns to build out all the walls we need in order to get this remaining 4 hexes fully enclosed, which is a bit of a shame. So instead, if we hire one person to take into account the worker thief card, and then he can just go back again anyway, and then we just change this into a 4 hex paddy, and that will take into account this achievement. Yeah, something like that, I believe. Or maybe we could turn this into a 4 hex paddy fairly easily. And we'd have 2 magic water and then 2 normal water, hopefully working it out. Well, yeah, I think we'll hire one guy. So that costs us 4. And we'll see how it all works out in the next couple of rounds. So we'll do that. So we've been to the market, we get to advance the round marker. And we are going to then reveal a rain card. So 5 water coming in this turn. That's pretty good, hopefully. But we're going to be adding 1 pest to every paddy field like so. That's going to require... Well, we've got plenty of livestock that we can use as ducks, so that shouldn't be too bad. We get to play spirit cards. I think now is a good time to do the easy harvest. So I did say we were going to try and accumulate a lot of points with this wealth card, but unfortunately I believe the easy harvest is a better use of the card at the moment. Either way, we're likely to be going second, so no, actually not. The AI is going to be playing Bountiful Yield. So it doesn't take into account the amount of rice it gets because it doesn't harvest any paddies, but it is going to take into account the 36, which is lower than our 35. So we are actually going to be going first. That may change things, I'm not entirely certain. We get to claim the water on the rain card, so we will claim all of it into our reservoir now. That could be possibly very useful, actually. Resolve spirit cards. Well, let's see, we're going to get another livestock. We don't do that one. These are all abilities at the end of the round essentially, so we can skip over those. We're going to have to lose a guy as per the worker thief, but we knew that was going to happen. And a Paddy is going to have to get a pest. Well, the 1 hex Paddy, which we're not doing much with, can just accumulate all the pests yet again, which is fine. So then, we need to allocate labour. Let's have, well, 6 guys now we can do harvesting with. So 6 guys there instead of the normal 12 that it would take to get all of these harvested is fine. We need probably all the ducks removing pests. So these will all essentially become ducks. We have no use for oxen because we have no more rocks, and we have no weeds that need removing as per our trained oxen card. So we've got 1 duck left over, and we can't fertilise because there's no just planted paddies to fertilise, so we'll leave that bit out, which essentially means we've got 6 guys left over, and we need to be planting again with these guys. This is probably how it's going to go for the rest of the turns, I suspect, unless we spend a lot of rice in short order on getting more labourers. We are not going to be able to build out any more, whoops, we're not going to be able to build out any more walls. So I think this is probably the entirety of how our farm's going to look. It could be worse. It's not too bad. It could be worse. Well, let's play through and see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah, it's probably not bad. We're going to get some more stuff from one of these achievements anyway, I suspect, so that's not too bad. Right then. So allocated, the AI needs to, well, it's a good job that we were going first this turn, because no water is coming out, so we're not going to get anything through to our reservoir. We would put water out. Let's see what we need to be doing. This lot is all going to have to come out. So all this water is going to have to come out, and yeah, we should have just enough to come back in again. So that's fine. Like so, and then this is now going to go to the AI because it is technically second, so it will accumulate in its reservoir, ready for the water in step. We can remove weeds. We're not removing weeds. We can remove pests. We will certainly remove all 4 pests, like so. Okay. No fertilising to be done, so just harvesting. So 6 guys as per easy harvest is the 6 hexes there. This is a 1 hex paddy, which is just going to get us 5. This is a 2 hex paddy, which is going to get us 12. And then finally a 3 hex paddy here, which is going to be 20. So not bad at all. And then this all goes away. Okay, so we've done all the harvesting, so now we come to water in. We are first, so we will happily put water in like so, and then this extra one will now go over to the AI, and then it will do its water in step, so it will take 2 water in, and then the rest of it, which would flow through, will now go back out to sea. Oops. And it is at 5 water in its hex, so it has a limit of 10 water, which it can essentially accumulate. I don't think it's going to reach that limit, so I think we're okay there. And we are done with that, so now we can do growing, nothing to grow. Planting, we will use 6 guys to plant all of these again, and as per fast growth, they will immediately pop back up into fully grown paddies like so, which is good. We've resolved the farm actions. We can Claim achievements. Well, we did grow 5 hexes this round, so we'll get this achievement. That's 10 more rice. I don't think we'll get the 4 hex paddy, so we can essentially leave off that one, and we're never going to have no water or no magic water, so we can leave off that one. So 17 rice, unfortunately, we're not going to get, but never mind. Still pretty good. We can go into the market, and again, we could definitely buy one guy to safeguard against the worker thief from the AI. Is it worth spending a lot more rice to buy a bunch of guys and quickly put out some walls? It would need to be 3 more, I suspect. No, it would need to be 6. Yeah, I think it's too much. I think the cost it would be to buy them all plus the taxes is essentially outweighed by whatever return we'd get on a slightly increased field or achievements. So I don't think it's worth it in that case. So no, we're not going to buy anything from the market, so that's fine. I think we're fine with whatever we have at the moment. Yep, I think we're happy with what we've got, so we'll buy the one guy for a total of 4, so that's 6 in change, and then he can get put back as per the worker thief card. So we're into the final round 6, well, final normal round 6, in which case it hopefully shows us that we have no market this turn. So we'll skip out that part. So we need to reveal a rain card. So 2 onto the rain card. We need to play a spirit card. We have 1 left. So not the 30 points I thought we were going to get. But 10 is still better than nothing anyway. And the AI is going to card 31. So we are now again second place because we have the highest one with 38, regardless of what the AI is doing. Let's see. So it's going to get all the water first on its reservoir there. This might be a problem, actually. We'll have to see. So resolve spirit cards. We're going to get our final livestock from our livestock blessing. We're going to get 10 rice from our wealth card. We're not going to bother with harvesting. We are not going to be doing fast growth. Oh, I think I may have been playing this slightly out of order. I believe this is the moment where fast growth would have come into effect and all the planted paddies would have popped up into grown paddies. But I think either way it works out essentially the same for the purposes of the flow of the game. So, fair enough. AI is going to chuck out a pest into our field and is going to take back a worker back into our market. So that's fine. Then we are going to be doing labour. So if we do the similar thing of a duck eating a pest, unfortunately the rest of the ducks are going to be a bit of a waste, but never mind. 6 guys harvesting, 6 guys planting. So we'll leave that for that. We can find out what the AI is going to do in terms of water. That is annoying. Yes, indeed. So no water is going to flow out of its reservoir, so we're going to get no water into our reservoir. This is where our fields are going to dry up horribly. Okay, fine. We can put water out, but I don't see any point because we want it all... No, I do see a point, sorry. We want to get this water out. And these as well. So we can successfully harvest these fields. So that is all then going to flow out to the sea. We are going to use 1 duck to remove 1 pest. And then 6 guys for easy harvesting to harvest all these. So again, 1 hex, 2 hex, and a 3 hex is a total of 5, 17, 35. So 20, 12 and a 5. That is what we're going to get from that particular yield, and then all this goes out. So I think it's at this point in the game you have your farm engine reasonably tuned, and you can start cranking out hopefully ever increasing amounts of rice points. So we've done the harvest. We're now going to have water in. We're not going to have water in, unfortunately, because we have no water to put in. The AI is going to have all the water in, and it is well below the limit of its 10 water it accumulates, so nothing is going to flow through to us. We are... Well, okay, that's what it is. So these guys are mostly wasted. We're only going to have 2 guys that need to plant in this magic water paddy we have here. So that's what we're going to have to do. And then these guys are poorly allocated in this case, so fine, never mind. We're not going to claim achievements because we do not have these achieved, so that's fine. We're not going to do a market because we don't have a market at round 6. So then we come on to a final round 7. So in this case, we basically remove all water. So magic water can stick around. You take all the water out. You then go through the steps. So we allocate labour as normal. We don't bother with spirit cards or any of that kind of stuff. So we allocate labour. In this case, it's essentially going to be 2 guys harvesting and 2 guys planting. I think that's probably the best way we can do this. Yep. Okay. So 2 guys harvesting, 2 guys planting. We're not bothering with any weeds or anything of that kind. So we can miss out weeds and pests. Then we do a... we didn't have a... Let's see then. So if we... I missed a step. That's what I'm getting confused on. So when we resolve farm actions for round 6, we should have had a second growth, basically. So these would have been planted and then immediately grown. This is where I'm getting confused because I skipped that part. So this now would have been immediately grown, and then when we came into the final round 7, we have basically a second harvest, as it were. So we don't need to allocate these guys for growing, we just need to harvest. So then this will be our final harvest as a 2 hex, and this is where we take into account our bonus yield. So for a 2 hex paddy for 2 hex paddy with the bonus is 20, as in the grey number, rather than 12. So we simply get 20 like so, to add to our accumulation of points. So that's our bonus yield for round 7, and then that is the end of the game essentially. So now we can tally up our final score, if we can. Let's put stuff to one side. So what have we got then? We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so that's a 50. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that's another 50, that's 100, and something like 30, 40, 50, so that's 154. Okay, that seems about, well, I don't know. Let's have a look. On the solar rules, we have, at the moment, so you count up your score as normal, as it says, and a score of 100 plus is average, 200 plus is good, and 300 plus is excellent. So 154 would be, well, midway between average and good. So yeah, there you go. That's about right. And that is the solo game. So it's not too bad. I think it's possibly more of an engine builder than the normal game, because you do not have so much in the way of AI cards messing you over as you would normally when you have basically at least one other player, possibly two or three, all kind of contributing towards messing up your farm. And I think certainly the water situation is possibly a bit more forgiving. Not necessarily for us in the later rounds where we didn't get much water coming into our reservoir, but compared to a normal game where you can, if you're last in turn order, basically you can happily see no water for quite some time. Yeah, I think it's a bit more forgiving in that aspect. So more of an engine builder where you're trying to get best use out of your spirit cards that way, and build it up for later rounds. So yeah, there we go. It was a solo game of Spirits of the Rice Paddy. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.